Yo, it's me. I'm redoing my WrestleMania 19 review. So let's get started with this review. We go to the first matchup at WrestleMania 19, which I consider one of the best pay-per-views of all time, only behind WrestleMania 17, which was the Cruiserweight title matchup between Matt Hardy and Rey Mysterio. This was a very good matchup between these two. You saw Rey Mysterio hit a nice corkscrew spinning move outside of the ring. He hit a nice hurricanrana outside of the ring to Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy hit a nice side effect from the top rope onto Rey Mysterio. Matt Hardy had some pretty good offense and hit some nice moves in this matchup. Rey Mysterio hit some good moves in this matchup. You also saw some nice counters between Matt Hardy countering the 619 and countering the hurricanrana, and Rey Mysterio countering the twist of fate in the beginning of the matchup. And then you also saw some other high impact moves in this matchup. Overall, I enjoyed this matchup, and it's what you expect for a cruiserweight type of matchup. I mean, if this matchup would have got a lot of more time, it would have easily been a 4-star matchup because it's Rey Mysterio, Matt Hardy. So, and we know that these two had a good matchup on SmackDown. Maybe like 2 months or a month after this matchup, they had a good matchup. So, could have been almost like this if this had been given enough time. But you got what you got in this matchup, and I give it a good 3.5 stars. As this was a very good matchup, but it could have easily been a 4-star matchup, considering that the match was flowing well in the beginning and it was going real well until the match just ended like that. But overall, like I said, I give this 3.5 stars. Very good matchup. I enjoyed it. We then go to the second matchup on here, which was between Undertaker and Nathan Jones against A-Train and Big Show. This was a very boring matchup. It was terrible. The wrestling was god-awful in this matchup. Nathan Jones was taken out of the matchup mainly because he was an awful wrestler, and WWE didn't want to take their chances on Nathan Jones, so they just went with the Undertaker and against A-Train and Big Show. But still, this was an awful matchup, terrible. This was like a boring type of brawling matchup where the brawling was kind of boring. I like brawling style type of wrestling, but not how this brawling was brought into this matchup. It was awful. And there was some botch spots in this matchup, and it was just not a very good matchup at all. The end comes when Nathan Jones attacks Big Show with the spinning kick, and then he distracts A-Train long enough for the Undertaker to hit A-Train with the Tombstone Piledriver. Overall, very bad matchup, terrible, and I give this a dud. I would give it a star, but I watched this match plenty of times, and this match just keeps getting boring and boring every time I watch it. Just terrible, horrible. We then go to the third matchup, which was a triple threat women's title matchup. It was between Victoria, Trish Stratus, and Jazz. This was a very good matchup. You had Trish Stratus hit some nice moves. Victoria hit some very impactful moves. Jazz using some submission holds in this matchup. And it was pretty much what you expect from a triple threat women's title matchup, as you just got what you got. And the end came when Trish Stratus, I believe, hit Victoria with the chick kick out of nowhere to become the new women's champion. I think this is probably one of the best WrestleMania women's title matches in the best women's WrestleMania women's title matches. As I don't think there's any other match that I could think of that was pretty good. But yeah, I like this matchup, and I give it a good 2.5 stars. I would give it 3, but this match was kind of short, and had this matchup gone on a little bit longer, I would have easily gave this a 3-star, maybe 3 and 3/4 stars. But yeah, I give this 2.5 stars. We then move on to the next matchup, which was for the Triple Threat Tag Team Championship match. It was the world's greatest tag team against Eddie Guerrero and Chavo Guerrero, and Chris Benoit and Rhyno. This was a very good matchup that could have been longer, but it was short for some strange reason. You had Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero do their usual sequences. You had Eddie Guerrero do the Three Amigos, I believe, on Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit doing his usual offense, which was nice. He had some Chris moves on Eddie Guerrero, which were pretty good. He had a nice diving headbutt on Eddie Guerrero. You had the world's greatest tag team Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin hit some nice moves. They did that move where they put the guy on the rope and then they just one runs and then they jump over the other one and then jump onto the guy's back. Thought that was nice. They did some nice technical moves in this matchup, and it was just good for what it was. And also, Rhyno kind of did show up a little bit, was kind of in this matchup, but was kind of taken out because, like I said, it was Benoit and Guerrero throughout the whole match. But still, it was good for what it was, and I give this a good 3 2/4 stars. The ending came when Rhyno, I believe, speared Eddie Guerrero, and I believe Rhyno was taken out, and one of the members of Team Angle Team Angle or the World's Greatest Tag Team pinned Eddie Guerrero to retain the titles, and that would kind of set up the feud between the Los Guerreros and Team Angle at the next pay-per-view. But overall, this was a good matchup. 3 2/4 stars. Would have gave it more of a higher rating had this matchup gone on a little bit longer. Probably would have been the best match of the night, but you got what you got. We then go to the next matchup on here, which was between Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho. This was the best match of the night. There was some great storytelling in this matchup, some great psychology with Chris Jericho working over Shawn Michaels' back because Shawn Michaels had just came back from having back surgery, and he kind of sold his back throughout the most part of the matchup, and Chris Jericho was working on it. There was some nice counters, some nice reversals, some nice high-flying moves, and some great technical aspects in this matchup. This was just a very good matchup. I enjoyed it. Also, like I said, there was counters. You saw Chris Jericho use the sweet chin music on Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels trying to do the Walls of Jericho on Chris Jericho, but Chris Jericho reversed it. Shawn Michaels doing the sweet chin music on Jericho. Both guys kicking out of each other's finishers. It was just very dramatic and very exciting. I enjoyed this matchup. Easily the best match of the night. Probably one of the best WrestleMania matches, in my personal opinion, of all time. And I give this match a 4 3/4 stars, as I really enjoyed it, and I like the ending too. We then go to the next matchup, which was between Triple H and Booker T for the World Heavyweight Title Championship match. This was a very good matchup. You saw Booker T hit some nice crisp moves. You saw Triple H use some nice submission holds in this matchup. You saw Triple H working on Booker T's knee throughout the matchup when Booker T hurt his knee. And Triple H was just working on it throughout the whole match. You saw Booker T trying to fight through the pain and hit moves that sort of cost him the matchup. And this was a pretty good matchup, but I enjoyed it. The end came when Triple H hit Booker T with the pedigree. Took him a while to cover, but he covered him, and that'd be the end of the matchup. Overall, I give this 3 3/4 stars. Would have gave it 4, but hadn't it not been for the ending. But this was still a very enjoyable matchup, and I recommend to watch this if you watch the WrestleMania DVD, WrestleMania 19 DVD. Next matchup is the Street Fight 20 Years in the Making, from between Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon. Basically what you expect from these two. Overbooked to hell between these two, because you know you're not going to get a great matchup between these two in a one-on-one matchup. You saw Vince McMahon bring in the ladder, leg drop Hogan on the announce table. You saw Vince McMahon hit Hogan with the steel chair. Hogan hit Vince McMahon with the steel chair. You saw one of the Spanish announcers get hit with the steel chair. You saw an appearance by Roddy Piper. And it just had everything you would want in this type of a matchup, and it was just a very good matchup. Better than what I expected. Overall, I give this a good 3 3/4 stars, as it was a very good matchup. The next matchup is between Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. Obviously not as good as their last 2 WrestleMania matchups, but it was still good for that entertaining aspect. You had both guys hit both of their finishers on each other, both guys using the other one's finisher on each other, both guys just brawling outside of the ring and beating the hell out of each other because of the hatred between these two. And then you had Austin kick out of 2 rock bottoms, but didn't kick out of the third, and you had a nice people's elbow and Rock getting on doing his usual offense. Overall, I enjoyed this matchup. Probably one of the weakest matches between these two, but it was still a good, entertaining matchup. 3 3/4 stars. Then finally, the WWE Championship matchup: Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar. This was a very good matchup, not a 4-star matchup because there was some botched spots, but still was good for what it